Welcome back to another completely useless video, or if you're new, welcome to 11 of the most useless minutes of your life. We've been making all-time 11s for the top cricketing nations, and now we get on to the West Indies, the last of the top countries. So, check out the other 7 countries first, where we discuss all the rules of the series. As we've always done, we're going with top order batters. There are some legendary players like Garfield Sobers, Alvin Kalicharan and Rohan Kanai, who could have had stellar ODI careers, but were reaching their twilight years when ODI started, so naturally they didn't play many. The Windies team of the 70s and 80s was arguably the greatest cricket team ever assembled, so naturally we have a few good options from this period. Starting with arguably the greatest opening partnership ever, Gordon Greenidge and Desmond Haynes. And then there is the one who many people, myself included, believe is the greatest ever ODI batter, the legendary Sir Vivian Richards, and his protege in both style and name, Richie Richardson. Then the West Indies come to a bit of a slump, with Brian Lara almost single-handedly scoring runs for them in the late 90s. Then there was Ramnaresh Sarwan and Chris Gale. The West Indies cricket team are in another slump currently, suffering from a huge lack of success, but Shai Hope has always been a consistent performer. I'll also throw in Evan Lewis. He's been decent. On to the middle order, and there's only 2 players that I'm going to mention from the 80s. Guess their top 3 scored all the runs. It's Clive Lloyd, their great captain and a wonderful batter, and similar to other 70s players who didn't score many runs, we'll also consider his World Series cricket record. Also, Jeff Dujon. His batting was fine, but he's more here since he can keep. We then get to Carl Hooper, one of the textbook definitions of the stats don't do him justice. Then we go to Shivnarine Chandrapal. He was known as a number 5 in tests, but he batted everywhere in the top 5 in ODIs, so he can bat in the top order too. Then we have Marlon Samuels, who is at the other end of the spectrum and remembered for his T20 exploits. The remainder of our players are also more known for their T20 records. Darren Sammy, Kieran Pollard, Dwayne Bravo, Nicholas Puran, and Shimron Hetmyer. It's very surprising to see how few great batters the West Indies have produced after 1990. Do you know how many players have over 3,000 runs for them? 13. Sri Lanka have 18, New Zealand have 15. On to the spinners. Now, if you thought that New Zealand and South Africa were struggling with spinners, this is a whole new low. Another pop quiz question. Can you name all the West Indies spinners to have taken over 100 wickets? There's 3. Carl Hooper, an all-rounder, Chris Gale, a batter, and Viv Richards. None of them specialist bowlers. Roger Harper has exactly 100 and Sunil Narine has 92. As for the fast bowlers, we're blessed with far more choice, maybe even too much. We've of course got the horsemen, Andy Roberts, Michael Holding, Joel Garner, and Malcolm Marshall. Colin Croft might have made this list too, but that Rebel Tour really destroyed his career. He only played 19 matches. Then we see Ambrose and Walsh, along with Ian Bishop. And then I'll just list off some other good names from after the millennium. Jerome Taylor, Ravi Rampal, Kemar Roach, Jason Holder, and Alzari Joseph. First, we can get to our openers, and it's between Gordon Greenidge, Desmond Haynes, and Chris Gale. First pick is easy, Gordon Greenidge. He was a phenomenal opener, so destructive, and his strike rate is in fact higher than Gale's. As for our other openers, Haynes is the better batter. It's not like his strike rate is poor either. It's 92 compared to Gale's 96, and his average is far better. This is not to discredit Gale by any means. He was also a good opener. He is so much more than a T20 slogger, but his ODI record just isn't anywhere near as good. However, he does provide a left-hander and he can bowl. Given the lack of good spin options, we might need it. Our number 3 and 4 are quite easy. Viv Richards and Brian Lara. Viv Richards is the best ODI batter of all time, and Lara is also somewhere around the top 10. Nobody else really comes close. Now, as to who bats where, both have batted a fair bit at 3 and 4, but Lara has batted more at 3 and Viv more at 4. However, having said all of that, Viv is amongst the greatest players of pace ever, and Lara is likewise against spin. That's not to say they were poor against the other type. They were wonderful batters against all bowling, but I'm saying they were arguably the best ever against their respective types. For that reason, I think Viv is more suited for 3 and Lara for 4, but we can mix and match. Into the middle order, let's first get our keeper. Shai Hope is a very good batter, but he is most suited for 4, where he is nowhere near as good as Lara. I suppose we could bat him at 5, but I think his strike rate is quite low. Then between Dujon and Puran, it's quite easy. Puran. Dujon has played double the matches, sure, but he has scored 18 fewer runs and has a massively lower average and strike rate. Puran's not quite got the same ODI status as he does in T20s. I mean, he might be the best T20 batter in the world right now, but he's good enough to make this team, I think. He can bat at 5, 6, or 7, but I think it's very unlikely we bat him 5. So let's look at our other 5 candidates. We're looking at Clive Lloyd, Carl Hooper, and Chandrapal. Sarwan is similar to Hope in the fact that he could bat 5, but he's better up the order. And I don't think he's better than these 3 at 5. Chandrapal has about 8,000 runs, which really works in his favour, but his strike rate is below 80, which is way too low. For this reason, I'm looking at Hooper and Lloyd. I think Hooper is an easy pick. He's got everything you're looking for in a 5 or 6 bat, including the longevity. And he's a good bowler too, so he's an easy pick. Lloyd is only missing the magnitude of runs. He's on about 2,000 at an average of over 50 and a rudder ball strike rate. Puran has a similar run tally and a strike rate with a 40 average. However, Puran got in for being a keeper. The competition wasn't strong. But Chandrapal is a much stronger competition. However, I'm happy with my decision of going with Lloyd. Remember what I do with 70s players? We consider their World Series cricket record too. Based on pure ODI record, I think I'd be slightly inclined to go with Lloyd anyway, but WSC makes it clear, and great news, we have a great captain too. So, we have, I guess technically, 2 spinners in our top 7, 3 if we play Gale. Do we need to go with a frontline spinner? If we do, I think it has to be Narayan. He is a far better bowler than Harper. What we know is that we will definitely pick 3 seamers. Maybe 4. While we do have Bravo and Holder, who can bat too, their bowling just isn't anywhere near as good as our main candidates. I'm looking at Garner, Holding, Marshall, and Ambrose. Garner is such an easy pick. It is unbelievable just how good he was in ODI. Plus, he was a change bowler, allowing us to pick 2 more as new ball bowlers. Wins all around the board there. If I have to pick 2 out of the remaining 3, I think I'll have to go for Holding and Ambrose. I'm a huge fan of Marshall, and if this was a test team, he'd be my first pick. But in ODIs, I think he's just below these 2. This does mean, however, we still need a 2 and an 8. In terms of bowling, we have our 3 pacers and Viv and Hooper. So our number 8 options are Marshall, Bravo, and Narayan. Our opener options are Gale and Haynes. The only reason I'm mentioning Bravo is because he can bat, but I'm not convinced what he offers with the bat at 8 is worth more than Marshall's superior bowling. So I think it comes down to Marshall versus Narayan and Haynes versus Gale. I'm not too keen on only having 3 seamers if avoidable. I did so in the previous Sri Lankan team, but there the spin choices were so much better than our seam options. Narayan is not all that much better than Marshall, so I think Marshall does make the team. This does mean that Carl Hooper is our main spinner, which isn't ideal, but I can live with it. We also have Viv Richards to make up the overs, and given that these 2 and Gale all bowl pretty similar off-spin, I'm not sure how helpful Gale's overs will be here. Therefore, I'm going with the better batter, Desmond Haynes. We also have left-handers in Lara and Lloyd, so another left-hander in Gale doesn't exactly add much. The West Indies have just refused to pick all-rounders or spinners, so we're really struggling to find a fifth bowler, so I don't think there's much else we can do there. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, or if you didn't, hopefully you at least managed to kill a few minutes and think about cricket for a bit. Feel free to leave your own thoughts or 11s in the comments, and feel free to subscribe if you never want to miss a useless video. Bye all!